since I cast anyone, it feels like that wasn't in the later stages of Katowice. And hey, what's up, Kayatic for the Prime sub? That might actually be our very first new sub of the day, even. Welcome, and thank you so much for subscribing. As we've got on the top right-hand side, fresh best of 5 semi-final from the ESL Open Cup Europe. This is Elazer, the Zerg, to start us off in the upper right-hand side. In the bottom left-hand side, our blue Terran player from Team Liquid is Clem. So as mentioned, best of 5 ESL Open Cup semi-finals. We've been here many a time, and always fun to see Elazer making it to the later stages. Elazer, one of these players who is yet to, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe don't quote me on this just yet until I double check it, but I feel like Elazer never actually won one of these Open Cups. He did not, and that's kind of crazy to me. This is actually even crazy. He only made it to the finals twice, and those were kind of in November and December of last year as well. It really was like, it just felt like Elazer was one of these players that was meant to do so much better. Now, that said, there's also a bit of a reason behind that in the sense that he didn't try in every single one of these cups as well. I know he was actually one of the players that really skipped all of these cups, especially in the first half of the year and so on. He really didn't play in a lot of them. So, yeah, I mean, I guess makes a bit more sense to see him now having kind of gone through and kind of, you know, making it to the finals a couple times more recently. Hasn't been able to pick up a win. And in fairness, Elazer's not quite been that terrifying force. Like, he had a really good start of the year, right? He beat Cyril in a stay-at-home story cup. He beat Cyril in TSL. He kind of became the Cyril Slayer, and it just felt like from there he never really gained much more momentum. Yeah, he had a decent year, I would say, Elazer, but was it like an extremely impressive year? No, it wasn't what Elazer wanted his year to be. And again, don't get me wrong, right? He gets to go to Katowice. He's one of the top seeds. He goes out in the open bracket. Doesn't win a series, but he wins a map in each of his matches against some Koreans, Bunny and Armani. Just a tough year for him in general. I look back. I'm just looking at his results of the year now. As this Reaper shows up, we'll watch this. But you look at his results: top 6 in 2 TSLs. You make it to top 6 of the final winter year of the final DreamHack Masters Europe in winter. He made top 12 in fall. The start of the year was that disaster where he fell out of the group after losing to Goblin. Goblin's only win of the tournament. It just wasn't a big year for Elazer, and it's kind of like you might look at the years before that and be like, well, you know, he was top 8 in some WCSs. He definitely did worse than that this year. Obviously, second place GSL versus the World in 2019 was a big talking point. He's just not had anything else to kind of go with that. It's a long time since Elazer's delivered on that higher level, but we still kind of talk about him, expecting him to be up there. And he is up there, right? We see him taking maps off the top guys. He just can't seem to string it together in a longer series. So I'm sure he's got a lot to prove. I mean, this is just an Open Cup, don't get me wrong. We are a couple months out from starting a new ESL Open season. Or the new ESL Pro Tour season, sorry. But, yeah, Elazer coming off of... just like I say, it's not a disappointing year, but it wasn't an amazing year, right? Like, it was that really weird in-between of results, I guess. I think it is disappointing for someone like him, but still relieving that he got to make it to Katowice, right? You know what I mean? It's that, like I say, it's that weird in-between of good versus bad and strong, you know, success versus unsuccessful. Yeah, kind of crazy, actually. Yeah, just going to be seeing Clem, obviously, building up here as well. We don't really need to talk about Clem. He had an amazing year. You guys know that. Just wanted to talk about Elazer a little bit, especially because, as I was saying, it's been a little while since I've seen Elazer or cast any Elazer and stuff. He played in, I think, WardiTV 2021. So yeah, it's been like a month or so since I probably cast a lot of Elazer games. Just thought it'd be nice to kind of have a bit of a recap on how his year ended, especially as Katowice just finished yesterday, right? It really is now the wrap-up of the year. The Starcraft year is done, and the new one is just beginning. So it's kind of cool to tell some of these stories, you know, for some of these players, especially ones that we expect to see throughout the 2021-2022 season, predominantly. Aliens away around up the top. We're going to see this Liberator kind of wanting to move on in towards the main base, maybe thinking about some pressure, maybe getting the chance to siege up or so. Definitely has a few options over there. These Hellions wrap around into the middle of the map, and they're going to keep their eyes open for opportunities. Elazer takes the 4th base on the far right-hand side, and if the Hellions were there a moment sooner, they might have caught that drone on its way over, but just didn't quite manage to make that happen. Do you see these Hellions going to get here? A couple creep tumors starting to go down. Bit of back and forth onto those queens. As now the Liberator makes its way in toward the main base, the Queen gets there to say nuh-uh, pushes that Liberator back away. And the Hellions and the Reaper are going to come back through to the top side of the map as well, getting all of this set up and established. A lot more drones on the way through. Banelings are producing Evolution Chambers about to finish up. And these couple of extractors on the 3rd base as well, as the Hellions still rotating back through the middle of the map here. It's going to be seeing our armory on the way out from Clem. It's about halfway done. So yeah, I mean, when you look at Clem's setup, he is just readying himself for 2-2. It's not been as aggressive as some of his earlier games. Might be, you know, as the opponents get a little bit tougher, he's like, okay, don't need to necessarily be as aggressive here, can't necessarily win the games with that aggression as much. And especially in a best of 5 as well, right? Not bad to open a little bit more passively, something that will lead you into a bit of a longer game is something to kind of, you know, give credit to as well, I think. Especially on a map like Oxide, which is a good map for you in the long term. As this is actually going to be a little bit of a Hellbat attack, right? He is still making Hellions. I didn't quite notice that, but still cranking those out off of a reactor means that he is going to be able to morph in some Hellbats, and we'll power it up with the upgrades finishing soon. I mean, this attack can still be deadly. 4 Banelings ready, and now Elazer morphs in 12 more. The fortunate news for Clem is, or for Elazer, I guess, is that Clem has to go through these queens first, so he's not going to get on top of those morphing Banelings right away. Gives Elazer time to actually get those into the equation, and he is just about going to get them morphed. No Bane speed for quite a while. 1-1 upgrades about to be done here. These Marines, what can they do? They're going to lift and get out of there. The Bane's just got a little bit too close in that creeper spread for Clem's liking, so he just disengages instead. As he goes back home, he'll bring more units across, start 2-2. Keep up the pressure. That's what we know and love Clem for, being able to keep up this TvZ pressure, just be able to never let it settle down. There's a couple queens going down. Overlord taking a few shots of damage as well. Again, the back and forth continuing as things get picked off. Elazer is again up to the top, up the right-hand side, running out of there. Queen's in a little bit of trouble. Widowmine lines up. That's a connection on a group of Banelings. Gets rid of those with ease. Nice pickoff, and now going back forwards once more here. Baneling's going down again. A couple of these Banes being targeted still. We do have Clem lifting up and getting on out of there. As now these next 2 medevacs, they are going to make their way out up through the top side of the map and see where they can go. So those medevacs continuing through. We do have the Marines are going to come in. Those Queens going to force the medevacs away. Big Ling counterattack into the left-hand side, going through for quite a few of these SCVs. So they show up and do pretty well right away. The Ling's now wrapping around these few Marines, and just going to be seeing the Lings still chasing this down. A lot more Lings coming across. Love the counterattack. I mean, SCV's going down, definitely slowing Clem down. Some drops have to unload early and come here to defend. And he's just got no pressure on the map while this is happening. Now Banes are going to get themselves onto the SCV line, so Clem in some trouble over on the left-hand side. Some extra Marines are making their way through, but now the Banes are going to find SCVs again. He finds a couple more. Feels like Clem has dodged a bullet. A Baneling-shaped bullet right there, because his SCVs felt as though that could have been 20 kills, not just 9. Okay, I mean, Elazer did give up a lot to do that as well, and one thing to remember is Elazer has been on pure Ling Bane until now, so he is in this position where he can only produce Ling Bane, which to some extent is obviously a style that works, but he's also trying to go Infestation Pit and Hydra Den. Those investments are then not going to help him out right now, so especially off a fight that was maybe not so efficient for Elazer, but good at denying economy, but doesn't have an immediate effect on the game. Off a fight like that, it definitely becomes a little bit concerning when all of a sudden Clem counterattack and you've got nothing but pure Ling Bane to try and hold it off. Now some Hydras can sort of make their way onto the map, although the priority seems to be just to move straight in toward Lurk, because we don't even see the Hydra upgrades yet. I would like to see the Hydra upgrades because it helps them get into position. Sometimes you just have Hydras that aren't morphed into Lurkers. Having upgrades on those will help you in a fight or two at some point. Wow, that's a very unfortunate Baneling run by. That just gets hit by by a single Widowmine. It didn't even need to go up to that high ground, right? Just very unfortunate. Nice catch from Clem. This Liberator is just destroying drones, by the way. No response to that from the Elazer. Still rallying drones into it. Massive mistake, honestly. I mean, that's so much damage you just take for free after you've just had a you know, a part of the game where I feel like you get into a decent position. He actually jumps on this army in a good way as well. Imagine you didn't just have to rebuild 16 workers in the game. I mean, the difference that makes, the lava that takes up when you're very Ling Bane dominated as well. That's a massive deal. Yeah, that's a real shame. There could have been like 30 more Lings on the map or so already, and then this army absolutely gets pushed back. But instead, it's just a rebuilt set of drones, keep that economy rolling, all because he didn't handle that Liberator very well in the slightest. Punching up this ram. Clem is feeling like there's more damage to be done here, and he's not wrong. He very narrowly grabs the queen. Two teamers continue to fall, and the Ling Bane gonna come through, forces the medevacs to lift up and get the heck out of there. A little bit more bio showing up, a few Widow Mines as well. And two of those Widow Mines just gonna load up and fly out over the left-hand side. Also, as you come on through, these couple of creep teamers are gonna go down, and yeah, again, good job of just picking up some damage over on the far right-hand side. The Lings kind of wanted to make their way down there, but didn't quite find the opportunity. It's going to be seeing the couple of drones on the left side as the Widow Mines go off. That's actually well handled by Elazer to minimize that to only 2 workers lost. But still needs to clean it up, and that's the issue. When Clem is everywhere, when do you find the moment to go and actually just shut those Widow Mines down, clean them up before they get another connection off? They're going to come off cooldown soon, and there's no intention from Elazer to actually clean that out. Maybe now? Is this it? Okay, he's definitely still appreciating that they're there. He actually sees them with the Spore Crawler as well. Okay, so Elazer, maybe I'm doubting him a little bit too much, but even still, because it took him a while to do that, these drones had to pull away again, when in fact they weren't really in danger, but he can't track that because Clem is everywhere. So it's another one of those little things where, you know, Clem gets a little bit more damage out of those Widow Mines simply for the fact that he's doing such a good job being aggressive on this side of the map. Is there ever a time to slow this down? If there is, I'd say it's around about now as the Lurkers really start to come into better numbers. Those Lurkers really do slow you down. They really should stop you from being able to push into positions as easily. He's going to grab one of them here, though, for free, and a couple of Widow Mine shots again going off on the Lings. Liberated production continuing, and that will be one of Clem's ways to really fight against these Lurkers. And this 12 medevac count is not really finding enough units to actually heal up. As Clem gets up to maxed out, he's also going to add on a Ghost Academy, so we continue to see the progress being made in that regard. So he is continuing to tech up, he is continuing to find options and answers for himself as he moves through. He's going through this choke point into the bio, into the Lurker Fire, sorry, and so the bio does not last very long at all. Again, a few more Lings getting turned away, a couple of snipes were lining up there for a moment or two. Liberator still siege on the right-hand side, and I see the bio just about able to break through this position, getting one of the Lurkers, a couple more still firing. I think there's just not enough firepower. Not even enough firepower, just not enough Lings to hold these units off to give the Lurkers time to put out the damage that they need to. And now Clem is going to break through. Obviously, the Lurker count has been dropping during this as well, which doesn't help. Elazer will type out GG as Clem is just a little bit too aggressive and too active on the map for him in this first game. Clem takes the 1-0 lead in the best of 5. Introduce some players on the top right-hand side. We do have our red Zerg. It is Elazer taking on the leading Terran in this series. Our blue Terran in the bottom left-hand corner from Team Liquid is, of course, Clem. As we get into game number 2 of the best of 5 series, and Clem is going to send multiple SCVs on the map. You know what? I kind of like it. Clem is well known for proxy racks, and when he gets a little bit tilted, when he gets a little bit annoyed at the game, when he feels like he lost a game he shouldn't have, when he's a little bit done with this series, he's like, oh, scrap this, you know, I get a quick win or I'm out, whatever. And now he proxy racks is in a 1-0 lead. Like, this is not what I would have ever predicted from Clem. Pilla's not a bad map either. I mean, it's definitely Elazer's map pick, so maybe he feels like he doesn't want to play this map as much. And Elazer is scouting for him, it's credit to him. Maybe this is something Clem's done a little bit more lately, but to me, it's just been something that I would never have initially said, expect this out of Clem, right? Like, this is not how I imagine Clem opening games. Elazer going to get this scout, and that's going to mean trouble for Clem. Let's see if he can salvage this with some very good micro. Wow, there's even a third barracks, and this Overlord sees absolutely everything, and I don't even necessarily know if Clem realized that just yet. We do see the drones coming over to try and nibble at those SCVs and shut them down. So there we go. The drone's going to start getting on towards the SCV line, and a couple of them starting to take hits. First Marines popping out, and they're going to be able to start going in after those drones. Well, I mean, the drones didn't really slow this down at all, right? So now this is 3 drones you've pulled off the mineral line to not really gain anything. So in that regard, this is actually not being as bad for Clem. He doesn't have the money for a bunker just yet, so he can't start that up. Elazer immediately spines the high ground. Drones are going to show back up, and they're actually going to go for the SCVs for a moment or two. I mean, you can still bunker here as you get one drone kill. He's going to bunker around this bottom side. I think the Marine count is good enough to fight this. Elazer with the information just says, okay, I'm going to go roaches straight away. So being able to go roaches straight away definitely helps, but it's not like you went gas pool hatch, right? If you go gas pool hatch and you go into that roach run already, this is a really easy defense. Yeah, the roaches and Ravager will break out. I imagine this is one of those scenarios where I feel like this is okay for Clem. You kill the hatchery, you can go back home. As long as you defend the roach Ravager attack, you're typically going to be in an okay position. You've not won the game, you're also not going to lose the game. Still moving through. Gonna actually see a Ravager on the ramp. A couple of these Ravagers taking some damage. Spine dealing some damage as well. Marine's gonna have to get back. Maybe Clem got a bit over aggressive here. Don't know if he needed to stick around. Love the target fire to finish off the Ravager, mind you. And he straight away retargets onto a roach as this Ravager morphs. Doesn't waste any damage on a unit that just will not die. Clem is gonna hold, be held off. I mean, obviously we expected this. I was kind of doubtful about his continued aggression, but killing a Ravager is pretty neat. And now Factory's going to get the tech lab. There'll be a bunker, 3 Marines in it. There's 3 Ravagers. The only problem is if you lose this tech lab, right, then you can only make 1 unit. I think it'll probably be okay, though. Global's going down, the tech lab taking some damage, the depot taking some damage, SCVs will pull in and start to repair. Cyclone is on the way up, going to be finishing soon. Again, a couple more SCVs just going down, more biles. These depots are going to fall. I think that's actually a good little catch. Like I said, this is my problem for Clem, right? If you only get one Cyclone out, that's kind of sad. He's going to get the other one started. So it's supply blocked, but it will be able to come on out here, right? Because he starts it, he doesn't need the tech lab to continue building it. And that is huge, because now you get a second Cyclone without the delay of the tech lab coming back up. That just helps you keep a little bit safe. He's giving up these SCVs. I mean, that's just Elazer just like, okay, sure, why the hell not? I'll take those kills. He wants that Ravager. You know he wants it, but his Cyclone is so low, you got to be super careful. Oh, he gets 1. He could maybe go for 2 at the high ground. Doesn't quite get the lock on he's looking for there. Now he gets it. Gets a shot, loses the Cyclone. But the second Cyclone is going to come out, and Elazer seems to respect that. Honestly, it might not matter if he respects it or not. Cyclone going to give chase. Cyclone's pretty darn quick. Going to catch the first Ravager for sure. And the second Ravager is already low, so it can't really pull into the fight because it's going to get 1 hit even without the lock on. I like it a lot for Clem. Again, all of these units really removes the kind of defense at home for Elazer. So now you kind of have to rebuild units if you want to make sure you can defend. And you're still only on 2 bases. Clem's moving to his own 2 base. I think there's a lot to be positive for here from Clem at the, once all is said and done. I wasn't quite sure about those few extra SCVs that he ended up losing, but, imagine he just had a couple of those kept alive when he didn't need to give them up. I mean, maybe they blocked for the Cyclone a little bit, like I say, I'm not sure if that was really necessary. Yeah, maybe he has like 31 to 40 workers right now, but I think like 28 to 41 is fine, considering that Elazer is going to hit a hard cap on drones. This would be a bigger issue if Elazer had a 3rd base, and he was about to go into, as the Spine Crawler is still here, by the way, but good scout from the Hellion sees this lair anyway. It would be more of an issue if Elazer had a 3rd, because then 44 drones is not the hard cap, right? Then he can go to like 50, 60 drones. And then maybe Clem falls a bit too far behind, doesn't have a lot on the map to pressure with, etc. But right now, Elazer will not go much beyond 44 drones or so, because there's no reason to. doesn't have the third hatchery. And so Clem will start to catch up on that worker count. That was a little bit out of reach, but like I say, now there is no reason for Elazer to go crazy on drones. And even if he does, they're not mining efficiently, right? So it doesn't put Elazer's economy out of reach of Clem's here, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I mean, this little long run by is annoying, especially when Elazer just killed off the Hellion across the map. These Marines on the high ground, they're going to come in. He does not want to have to cancel this command center, but he does. If those Marines are on the low ground, they're on the high ground, I think maybe afraid of a bigger Ling run by or so. Tough to say, really, isn't it? Yeah, really tough to say. Alright, well, Ling's Queen's is going to gather up on the natural ramp. Third hatchery is on the way up as well. So again, that's set up at the front. Again, these troop teams continuing to press on forwards. Medevacs are going to fly their way to the top side of the map, so away they go. Queen's coming around, Medevacs as well, a couple of Queens coming through. Just going to see on the bottom side, the third CC of Clem is about to finish up on the natural. Obviously, that delay was nice from Elazer. If he doesn't delay that, he really is in some trouble, because then Clem's already got that landed as an orbital and probably mining at this stage with these Marines on the map. Now, at least it gives Elazer a chance to start saturating his own third base before Clem gets that own opportunity on his side of the map. Meters and 1-1 upgrades coming through from Elazer, of course, expecting to see the same from Clem. Obviously, no Mutalisks, but some further tech, and that is coming up in the form of tanks. Combat shields will be done. The upgrades being fairly even here as well, obviously pretty nice to see. Means that we're in for a pretty fun back and forth fight in that regard, at least. As Clem will not find much with these first two medevacs, so Marines has to lift and get out of there, but in general, I like his position. The only thing I feel like Elazer's doing right now is building too many units. I would have preferred to see just a few more drones already. He's been kind of hard stuck at 48 drones for a while, despite getting that third base up. I feel like there was a chance for him to get, the 10 extra workers just to really start saturating that, because now you still really don't have much mining here before Clem mines on his own third. So, again, the economy game definitely seems to be trending in favor of Clem from my eyes. Elazer's trying to make a Ling Muta fight happen, but this is not good. I just hate everything about this. Like, this is the sort of thing you can do if you're very far ahead. There is zero reason to do this into, like, a tank Marine line. Like, this is something that works if you just have an overwhelming amount of units. Maybe you have 1-1 against 0-0. Like I say, there's a few situations you can get away with that, but none of those are really apparent in this game right now, which is why I'm kind of surprised that Elazer pulls the trigger on that engagement, because that engagement was fully in his hands as well. He did not need to take it. Maybe he thinks he's a little bit further ahead than he actually is. Maybe he's feeling better about this game than he should be, because that's the kind of fight, like I say, that you take if you're feeling like you're very far ahead. And he is not very far ahead. In fact, I would say he's kind of behind a little bit, especially following on from that fight right about now. Cyclone, the couple Marines will go down, a few extra Marines showing up, and these Mutas going to take a lot of damage. Marines doing pretty well trading out here. Mutas, a lot of those continuing to fall, and in the end they get turned back away up to the top side of the map. So, Mutas get turned around up to the top. And now Clem's going to use this as a chance to keep on chasing. And upgrades are even right here. Elazer wants to jump on this before tanks are siege, but Clem sees the army coming in, so the tanks do siege up before it becomes a problem. Now Marine Tank Force continues around to the top side of this. We're going to go back down around through the center as well, apparently. On the far bottom side, these meters are going to come in, and that command center, woohoo, survives. Gets the SCV to slow it down from building, but it does survive, and that could have been a kill as well, right? That's one of those scenarios where sometimes you do just see the kill come through. Oh, Marines load up into the medevac. That's a nice catch from Elazer, at least. Obviously, there's more units from Clem from the top side, but what Elazer is doing here is he's forcing Clem to turn around. This time he does get that kill. He's trying to force him to turn around, but the Marines get here in time to stop a lot of the Lings from getting into the main base anyway. Actually, kind of essential. You can't afford a big run by here because there's no wall off on the natural to main base ramp. Without a wall off there, you really are in a little bit of trouble shouldn't, should have run by happen you don't have units in position, because it means that you don't just have units in your natural, you've got them in the main base as well. Man, this turned into 13 SCVs killed. I felt like Clem had this under better control than what he actually had it under. So credit to Elazer. This attack, I mean, I like the idea of this attack a lot more than some of the previous ones. And this time he was actually able to make it work out as well. But boy, one thing that Elazer's done wrong is that 2-2 upgrade timing. He has had the chance to start 2-2 upgrades for a long time now. There's no reason he should be this slow on going towards 2-2. And unfortunately he is. So yeah, he could have started that a long time ago, and without doing that, it really does just give Clem an opening, a window in which Clem can climb right on through and really grab some favorable fights in. He's going to rally out down the bottom side, and they're going to go jumping on top of the tanks. Hey, I like that as well, obviously. I mean, you get a few of the tanks. Problem is, a few of the mutas go down as well, and they kind of fly back towards Marines. That was a lot of mutas going down. I started to like this at the start of it, but man, the amount of mutas that just died in comparison to the tanks killed, it doesn't really add up in Elazer's favor. Again, just feels like Elazer's taking some fights that he doesn't need to, and he maybe feels pressured that he needs to, because hey, you're playing against Clem, and if you just let Clem play his game, yeah, I get it. You want to be the one that maybe tries to dictate things a little bit more, but man, he's the eagerness to take some of these fights to make stuff happen is only hurting Elazer for sure at the moment. But this would have not actually gone in. I mean, this isn't even going that well for Elazer, and Clem didn't actually unload like 6 or 7 of his Marines. Meanwhile, he's got a drop up this side. Suddenly you're losing drones, you're losing a hatchery, and this is where these sort of games fall apart. Everything is kind of held very tightly together, just about. And now you're flying mutas one at a time into these Marines. The Banes get target fired down. Whoa, that's a misclick from Clem, though. He goes to click onto Banelings, and what does he do instead? He clicks on the ground, move commands into them. Elazer catches a break right there. Miss micro of Clem allows Elazer to stay competitive, maybe just about in this game. If that hadn't happened, I actually think these Marines continue through. They clean out the main base mineral line, and again, the game just gets worse and worse for you at that stage as now Marines come forward. That's a dead Overlord. Ling Bane Muta continue to back away at the middle of the map. More Marines showing up, and they're going to get a few of these Lings, the Baneling too, and Bio Army of Clem continues to make its push across to the far right-hand side, setting itself up for an attack into the 3 o'clock base. Obviously, WardiTV here right now as well is definitely... Oh! I was going to say dangers for both sides, obviously, with the WardiTV's going off in the Zerg units, but they can be dragged into the Terran army. But boy, they just hit the mutas, and that just softens the mutas up so much now, where the Thor is obviously going to be very deadly to those mutalisks. The Marines are going to get through them so much more quickly, and the Thor micro just to keep it alive against those mutas, making sure you're going to kill off all of them. This is a decisive fight from Clem. Elazer just had some bad fights in this game, which really let this get away from him. Off in the bottom right-hand side, our red Zerg player. This is Elazer. He kind of needs to turn this around right now, as he is hurting, and hurting badly. I don't know, too. Like I say, honestly, it felt like moments in that game, there was absolutely some possibilities for things to go well, and so on and so forth, and I felt like he had opportunities, but it was really Elazer picking fights that were not well designed. That gave Clem, our blue Terran top left-hand side, a better setup in that game. It didn't need to be like that, right? Like, it didn't have to turn out the way it did. Alas, sometimes that's how it goes. What's up, Mr. G42? Thank you so much for 13-month resub. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for resubscribing. Anyone else I need to shout out quickly just before this game gets off and away soon for the 10-month resub? Welcome back. And that will do it for now. That will do it for now. Alright, our Reaper's going to pop out. It's going to go out across the map. So away we go to begin with here is Clem. makes his way out down to the bottom side. Obviously no proxy racks this time around. Hit it back and forth just to start us off. And Reaper just coming through, just going to be seeing the Ling's going to be not able to keep the Reaper away. Gets the creep tumor. That's a massive kill. Big pick off right there as the Reaper backs away up through the center. Alright, well that's massive. Obviously denying the creep tumor does a lot to slow your opponent down. Comes around the left-hand side. It's going to go up and down towards the natural again. Just staying active, looking for the chances. If you can deny those creep tumors, stop the creep from connecting the bases, that's going to be a pretty big deal. And you'll just very quickly, Emintil on a tier 3, 26 month resub. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Appreciate it. Alright, so Fusion Core on the way. I like it. Switch it up a little bit. We saw Fusion Core and BCs on this map being a fairly popular choice during Katowice. Honestly, I kind of like it. You switch it up that little bit. You go for something different here. It's a good one, as you do see the Reaper and the Hellions back around the center. A couple of refineries continuing up. Starcraft swaps over to the tech lab, obviously expecting that BC to begin. We know exactly where Clem is taking this. Biggest question for me is this one BC into bio, is this, multiple BCs into some mech to really change things up? I mean, that would be a bit of a shocker, right? If we see like multiple battle cruisers into mech here, that would really be like a whoa, holy, hang on a second, what are you doing kind of moment. That one I would be kind of questioning, but it's not like we haven't seen Clem play mech in fairly recent history. Not sure if he cranked it out during Katowice at all. I think one of the big matches we remember is when he took down, was it Reno or was it Sarah? One of the two with it on Lightshare. I think it was against Reno in one of the DreamHack seasons, the one that I think he went on to win. And he cranked it out on Lightshare, won that game, and he's going to do it again here. He's going to put down 2 more factories. I think the last time I really saw Clem playing mech that comes to mind was probably actually against a series versus Elazer, if I'm not mistaken. I seem to remember them playing a map that maybe even might have been this one in probably one of the Open Cups, and I believe that was a series which saw a bit of mech play coming out as well. And you see the Hellions coming through, a couple of creep teams going down. Maybe was it actually in the WardiTV 2021 event? Did he play some mech there? He might have done. I think he actually really might have done as this BC shows up. Queens and Hellions having some scuffles as we do have the Lings going to go for the Hellions. The BC having a good time against the Queens. Doesn't have to fight in range of a Spore or anything. Bane's showing up, but you know what? The Lings are already dead, and now these Hellions helping out against the Queens. Without the Lings, I mean, these Banes can go down. There's no unit production here from Elazer. What's happening? Oh my god, Clem has no idea the gold mine he's sitting on with these Hellions. If these Hellions went up this ramp one more time, there's just still no units here. He doesn't realize that Elazer has so little in preparation for this. He has no idea in the slightest. The Hellions pull back around in the middle. Now he's going to see 2 Banes. He's going to get rid of those. And Clem, go! You have an open window to kill so many drones. A Queen pops out in the perfect moment. Again, obviously, how is Clem to know what we know? But he just was. If he just tested the water one more time, if he just pushed up and tried to see, he would have done so much more just then. That was an unfortunate moment to miss out on. Spire onto the natural. And do you see the 1-1 missile upgrades coming through? The roach speed halfway done. Macfield accelerator coming up from Clem in the main base as well. All of our Hellions just settling down on the left-hand side. And say settling down, they're about to have Blue Flame. They're about to have Cyclone support as well. So we're moving into an answer for a lot of the later game setup that Elazer will likely have, as Cyclones get a decent lock on. Ovi and a Queen taking some shots. The BC is back. Interesting to note, only one BC. He never built multiple battle cruisers, right? And when you play mech, you usually build multiple BCs. The idea behind it being the BCs are kind of your activity on the map. They are what keeps the Zerg busy. They keep the Zerg from just being the aggressor all of the time. And they force Corruptors again and again, and so it just stops you from the Zerg, stops the Zerg from just creating an overwhelming ground army, because the BCs force a respectable amount of Corruptors that have to be remade, and they're just a constant, they force a constant money sink for the Zerg, because you modded down 3 Corruptors, you teleport out, and that's just money going down the drain for the Zerg every minute and a half to 2 minutes, right? But that's not really the case now, right? With Clem only having 1 BC, does not have Yamato Cannon on it. It's just going to be hoping to show up and maybe pick off, drones on an empty mineral line, empty of defense at some stage. I mean, he still has forced a few Corruptors as Elazer moving forward with Queens. Looks like he wants a big push. The thing is, because Clem's not built more BCs, I actually don't know if I like this with Elazer. The idea of this kind of bust, it just works much better, right? If Clem had built, 2 more battle cruisers instead, he's got so many tanks ready to defend. I'm not convinced that this is going to be the right move from Elazer in the slightest, but let's wait and see how it plays out. And tanks first few already fairly well positioned. Now tank fire doing pretty well as the roaches run through. Ravagers piling down a couple of these tanks. BC coming in. We'll soak up some of the Corruptor shots with a couple turrets here as well. This was good, and these Queens didn't really have much of a role to play. A couple of late transfusions as units back off. Excuse me, hitting my beep button instead of my mute button. And as the roaches back off, a couple of Queens drop transfusions, but they really just weren't here for the major part of this fight. And Elazer's not even getting close to the tank line. Like, okay, congratulations, you've killed one of the tanks. Like, hello? 4 tanks went down in total, but the rest of these tanks still back here, just shelling away. Elazer's just remaxed on roaches, so obviously there's roaches on, now means there's no longer Ravagers in play. Widowmine goes well. Oh my god, these siege tanks are just going to do so much. Like I say, there are Ravagers in these reinforcements. It's just roach production. The Queens are now all gone. And Elazer's supply is decimated as Clem has absolutely shown up in this series looking way too freaking good at the moment. He's going to bring the Hellions around the right-hand side. I think this one, guys, is going to be a bit of a done deal, I want to say. I mean, this is a position for Clem which he should not really lose from most of the time. The problem is for Elazer, there's just no tech in this army, right? It's pure roaches. As Clem's army only gets better, 5 tanks at a time. He's just killed 16 drones. I'll make that 17. Why not go back for a couple more? He'll lose a Hellion or 2 on the exit, doesn't care. Because Hellions are very replaceable in a game like this one where Clem is rich. And Elazer, quite frankly, is not. 83 drones still in the game, sure, but those are all drones he's just had to rebuild instead of build an army which wasn't going to be good enough anyway, because again, I will reiterate, he's building mass roach. He's not actually doing anything else. He's not actually progressing with this army at all. I mean, his tanks and everything else joins up once again on this top left-hand side. Clem is maxed out, so for Clem, time to unsiege, time to start pushing. I don't think there's any danger for him to, or any reason for him to not push right now. Maybe if Elazer was being a bit more active with his units, but he really isn't, right? Army heading down through the center. Gonna take down these rocks. The first tank actually goes down already. Another couple of balls coming through here. That goes a set of rocks. Roaches from Elazer moving up through to the top side. Ravager's gonna start moving into this. Couple of balls coming down. That's a dead siege tank. Now CV, missile turret will fall. Still pushing down the right. Clem Looking to attack on into this bottom right-hand side. This hatchery in some trouble. Roaches are going to go in for the planetary fortress. I mean, the counter-attack is cute and all, but yeah, talk to me again when you know how to deal with this attack, Elazer. If you can hold this off, then okay, I'll admit defeat. Then maybe I was wrong, but to me, this game is kind of a done game. Elazer's going to keep on expanding onto Clem's side of the map, going up the left-hand side, but again, Clem is just going to choke Elazer out of this. Elazer is at least using this time to progress his army into Infestors, into a few more Corruptors. It's definitely progress. Whether there's progress in the right direction, I don't know. Here we go. I mean, there's not even much of a flank to this. Things do crash through. Tanks will probably just want to prioritize the Ravagers here. I think the Banelings got too far forward to begin with anyway. Elazer's going to shut down a lot of this. He still comes out down a lot of supplies. Still not even properly shut down. On the other side of the map, a little Roach attack continued. 4 more SCVs, but that was all. These last couple of tanks should get cleaned out as Clem already has a lot of Hellion Cyclone. Masses of command centers, just in case you're wondering exactly how this game is looking. Yeah, I mean, just in case you're wondering, is Clem in an okay position still? Yes, I think so, when you're building 5 command centers at once. 9, 12 drones going down. They're stacked up for 16 kills, and why not stack them up a little more for just 1 more at the end? The Cyclone's going to finish off this hatchery. If this Cyclone doesn't, then Clem will be able to with another push at some point. He might have just backed away a little bit too soon with everything else. He's going to show back up now. That Cyclone's going to get the hatchery anyways, and I mean, if you can get a few lock-ons here, it's not bad, right? Because then you're locking onto Roaches, which are getting 3 hit by the Cyclone. Sorry, I think they're actually getting 4 hit. Not 3 hit, but I mean, this hatchery from Elazer is his 5th base, and with 40 minutes in the game, a 5th base is essential. If you lose that base, you're in a lot of trouble, and this tank starts starting to encroach on this position. If that position is taken down, Elazer, again, he's already, for me, kind of a little bit doomed in this game. But it might just be the nail in the coffin as Roach Ravager chases forward, gets, what, half a Cyclone? I'm not even sure he killed a Cyclone there. GG, Clem, just a little bit too freaking good today, huh? One with Bio, one with some Proxy Rocks opener, one with some Mech. Just did a little bit of anything and everything in this series. Comes out on top 3-0. Clem goes to the finals of yet another ESL Open.